He is a deviant. And his behavior, you are known by your works. You are known by your works. And I'm not saying this about the me versus the I to be facetious with the feminine principle, but the feminine principle is the me for a reason. She needs to be that in order to consolidate the energies necessary for her to mother the generation. The I is the male. He's impersonal. He could give a damn sometimes about things that she really, really cares about. But it isn't because he doesn't care, it's just that there's nothing there to interest him. And women want you to be interested in what they want because they're about the me versus the I. And the me is dealing with feelings, it's dealing with emotions. It's dealing about a consolidation of turning everything in towards me, whereas the male is about turning it outward. So the inward is the me, the outward is the I, the impersonal I. But that's another story. Very quickly, we can go to the next phase. Creation. The Sumerians made it clear 6,000 years ago in their cosmogony. They speak of a gigantic cataclysm that took place, an event that was related in miscellaneous texts, hymns, and proverbs, just as you find in Psalms, Proverbs, Job, and Revelations. The event was related step by step on 7 tablets. Of the original tablets, only fragments and quotations have been found, the most complete text being the Akkadian language, which was the language of the Assyrians and Babylonians who followed the Sumerians into Mesopotamia, who were all black. Proof of its authenticity. Before the newer discoveries, the prevailing scientific viewpoint believed that our solar system, as we see it today, started this way from the beginning, having been formed by immutable laws of celestial motion and the forces of gravity. Meteorites were said to have come from somewhere else and collided with the stable members of our solar system, making craters along with comets that zoom about with greatly elongated orbits appearing and disappearing each and every eon. It was believed that this cosmic debris went back to the beginning of beginnings in our solar system some 4.5 billion years ago and are pieces of planetary matter that failed to be incorporated into the planets or their moons and rings. Listen carefully. The asteroid belt, according to what is known as Bode's law, is an empirical rule that explains why the planets formed where they did, should have been, and in what particular quadrant they ended up in. 2 problems with the theory of Bode's law is that the total amount of matter in the asteroid belt, listen carefully, the total amount of matter in our asteroid belt does not add up to the mass of much of a planet, of any kind of planet that existed there. And there is no plausible explanation for what might have caused the breakup of such a hypothetical planet. If a celestial collision, when and why happened, where is the evidence? Consider the fact that Voyager showed in 1986 that the planet Uranus was tilted on its side. Its moons swirled around the equator of Uranus in its tilted position, forming altogether a kind of bullseye facing our sun. So in other words, Uranus is tilted on its axis and looks like a bullseye if we were to stand on the sun and look directly at it. This made the scientists wonder whether these moons were there at the time of the tilting event or whether they formed after the event, perhaps from debris thrown out by the force of a collision. Scientists speculate that if the moons formed at the same time as Uranus, the celestial raw material from which they came should have condensed the heavier matter nearer the planet. There should have been more of a heavier rocky material than thinner ice, coats of the inner moons, and a lighter combination of material, more water, less ice, less rocks on the outer moons. The same principle being that around our sun, a larger portion of the heaviest material would be closer, the lighter, more gaseous states farther out. So, the further out we go from our inner solar system, the more gaseous the planets become, because they are now presently in a form of consolidation. Okay, let me get that straight. The outer planets, like Uranus, Neptune, and so forth, seem to be in a haze when you look at them from afar. That's because they are now in their shrinking process. They are now solidifying to become whatever it is that consciousness has dictated they are going to become. And in their shrinking process, do they now align our energies and influence us, depending upon the temperaments of their evolution? So, planetary evolution and its spin around the planet and its conjunction to us is dictating what it is that our evolutionary mandate is. So the sounds that they create as they spin, the wake of material that they leave as they spin, that we breathe, that comes into our atmosphere, all of these are part and parcel of what are creating us. Now they keep saying that everything that is in the solar system was here, already here. The funny part about it is that Uranus, the rings that are around it, are pitch black. Let me say that again. Uranus, and we have a master astrologer here, Uranus is surrounded by rings, but the rings are pitch black. Dr. I.M. Brown will tell you that the pitch black matter is not coal, it's not dust, it's the consolidation of a harmonic